Power to the people. I want to express myself on a question. Are we on the edge of extinction? As a species of life upon Mother Earth, keeping in mind that we belong to the Earth. The Earth does not belong to us. The way things are going right now, Mother Earth is in great danger. Not only in terms of the danger that human beings are bringing to the ecology, the bees, the whole environment, chasing ice, the North and South poles melting. The degradation of life here on Earth, the division among the people, and we are really at a point now where we are truly facing extinction. Some may argue about it, and you can argue all you want. I think we're in real danger. Thank God we have the power of the internet where we can express and communicate and exchange ideas and try to figure out a way how we can rise up together and transform the situation. It's going to take a lot more than a zillion people gathering at a public square or at a park. It's going to take the best that we have. It's going to take a mass revolutionary consciousness that understands that revolution must be global, not just regional. It must be global. It must involve the masses of the people. There are certain elements that we need to make it successful. To me, one is that we need to have a revolutionary consciousness. Then we need to have vanguard leadership. Perhaps a better word instead of leadership would be vanguard coordination. Then we need to have political, cultural, mass organization. If we can work on these three factors along with mass civil disobedience, we have a slim chance of reversing or slowing down our path towards species extinction. We're really not doing well. Say here in the USA, I'm a Chicano de Aztlán. I'm first and foremost a humane being. I strive to have care, concern, and compassion towards all living beings. Yet as a Chicano, I want to see La Raza, brown people, Chicanos, Latinos, whatever you want to call us, come together and contribute to the overall matrix. This is a matrix of liberation movements throughout the world. And what's one good thing is that we have the capacity to communicate with other people in other countries though there are big language barriers that we need to overcome. And we need to learn different languages. Google Translator can't do it all. So we need to really take note of what's going on, be aware of the global news, what's going on in the world, what's going on in your own local community. You know, how can you help to make it better? How can you make it safer? How can you bring about more unity? How can you utilize your time and your energy and your resources to make a difference? And not waste all your money and your energies on just sex, music, and drugs. We're not in the 60s anymore. I lived through the 60s, so I know the difference. And we need to love one another and show that love for each other on a daily basis. You know, raise our consciousness to the level of seeing ourselves as one family of humanity, as one endangered species. And do whatever we can to help move things forward, to help progress, and to understand our divisions, the racism, sexism, nationalism, individualism, etc., etc., etc. We're so screwed up and divided, and we're so full of so much hate and envy that I think we're the ones that are the greatest danger to our survival as a species. Not just the external world, you know. We can go on and on about the external world, you know. Global warming, you know, fossil fuels. I mean, you know, many of us basically know what's wrong. We got to look at what's right. What are we doing right? How can we learn from our experiences? How can we share the knowledge that we've gained from direct experience and share it with other people, so that we see ourselves as we're all struggling towards the same goal. The same goal. G-O-A-L. I call that global revolution or global liberation. And at the same time, keeping in mind that if we live long enough to achieve that, that would just be the basis for creating a new world where we have new relationships with each other. We understand that we're interdependent, that we need each other. We can drop the labels that divide us and work together as a family. At the rate we're going, you know, it's doubtful that we'll survive the century, let alone the decade. You know, there are great forces who are in combat with each other. You know, it's not just informational war, like Alex Jones and all. This is a spiritual war. You know, between the goodness in us and the evilness in us. No one's all good. We all have a shadow. We need to have the light of our soul overcome the shadow of our soul. And walk in the light. Walk in the light of love. Understand the power of harmony. and expand our consciousness. It's not all about politics. We got to do more than just post about this is screwed up, and that's screwed up, and this is screwed up. Well, we know what stuff's screwed up. What solutions do you have? I approach the general situation from a spiritual stance, from a spiritual outlook. You may approach it differently, economically, culturally. However you do it, we need to have a collective mass consciousness where we're working together, and we're not going to all be on the same page. Some of us are not even in the same library, let alone the same book. And we cannot count on the aliens from the Pleiades galaxy. We cannot count on Jesus Christ coming down from the clouds. We can hope all we want, but we better start counting on ourselves, on our own capacity to create change, our own capacity to have courage, to overcome our fear, to overcome what I see as an automatic distrust that we have towards strangers, especially if they're not of your kind, especially if you can't see that we're all humankind. So that's a question to ponder on. Are we on the edge of extinction? And if we are, what can we do to help save ourselves? I believe it starts with spiritual liberation now. Educating ourselves. Learning history. Learning the true nature of reality. Seeing that under the evil empire that we're under, there can be no independent nations. So the United Nations is an illusion. Look at the so-called nations. Do they look united to you? Not to me. Look at the United States. Does it look united to you? To me, it looks like the divided states. So it's spiritual. I try to be optimistic, yet sometimes I get pessimistic. I see probably what you see. Maybe you're around a bunch of hardcore radicals. I'm not. I see a lot of fear. People just trying to survive. People who get joyful if there's a good free meal. People who are trying to meet their basic needs for food, clothing, shelter, medical care, education. People just trying to survive. So the whole concept of getting involved in a liberation movement and gathering together in masse at a public square, for most people, they don't relate to that. They're not at that level of consciousness. I still recommend we should all get together the first Saturday of each month and have a People's Liberation Day. I posted about that a while back. Zero response. So I believe in using all tactics that we can. Electoral politics is one tactic among others. Running candidates not to win so much as to use that as a platform for advocating certain positions, certain causes related to humane rights. All our rights are bestowed upon us by nature of being human beings. They're not given to us by the U.S. Constitution. We got that. We deserve that. We inherited that by being born human beings upon Mother Earth. And if we let ourselves to be frozen in fear because we're paranoid about the NSA, or we're paranoid about our boss finding out that we're awake, and we're really stupid. Ignorance, I can understand. Ignorance is not knowing. People that don't know, they can be taught. We can learn what we do not know. But stupidity is when you do know and you still don't do shit. Stop and think. When you can't even focus your attention long enough to devise a plan of action. A plan of action that involves who, what, when, where, why. There's so much we need to learn. A lot of that learning involves making mistakes. And then admitting when we make a mistake, correcting that mistake, and then moving on. Look at the whole, the schism of the isms. Capitalism, socialism, communism. If someone comes up to you and they're advocating global revolution, you better ask them what kind of revolution. Do we want socialism? Have we looked at Russia? What happened to the Soviet Union? Have we looked at the dynasty in China? What happened to the People's Republic of China? Is it really a People's Republic? Remember, North Korea was once the model social society. Why in the hell is Raúl Castro head honcho in Cuba? Do they ever have democratic elections? Why is that? So we got to look at what we consider model societies. Are they models or are they monsters? And understand that even the concept of socialism, it cannot really happen under empire. We need to understand all these different isms. And we cannot deny the impact that socialism has had on the world, positive and negative. We can look at Venezuela. Despite its defects and flaws, it is better off than it was before the revolution. Look at Cuba. It is better off than it was before the revolution. What happens is that when there is a revolutionary movement that overthrows a previously existing regime, the leaders of that revolution tend to want to strengthen the state power, strengthen the military, and stamp out opposition to it. If there's a violent revolution, innocent people get caught in the crossfire. And a violent revolution can plant the seeds for future counter-revolutionaries. Plant the seeds for counter-revolution. Then it overthrows the revolutionary leadership, or there's a coup d'etat, or it gets corrupted, it sinks into revisionism, and so the ways and the means should be in harmony. And understand that we cannot just write off innocent victims in a revolutionary process and call it collateral damage. I think Cuba is an excellent example of that. If you study the history of Cuba, how, sugar was its main product. And when the U.S. embargo clamped down on them, then they were kind of forced to turn to the Soviet Union. Though they were trying to diversify their economy to not be so sugar dependent. So there are real realities going on that many people have not taken the time to study about. We can look at the Amazon. What's going on in Brazil. As much as we here in the USA, many people, they discount the value of electoral politics. They discount, what we could do with political platforms, with political candidates running for office, to at least have a platform to address social issues that we're concerned about. And not necessarily to win, but to raise consciousness. See, consciousness is the key. Without that knowledge, without that practice, without that direct experiences the masses must go through, they will not support a revolution. They will mistrust anyone who speaks about revolution. The masses are the true genius in human history. The collective wisdom of the masses. So we need to look at stuff with a clear mind, with open eyes, and to learn from the great lessons of history. Occupy Wall Street. There's so many great lessons there. I wish they would have ran a candidate for office. But at the time, they had the stereotype where they're against politics, against politicians. And so when the Green Party ran, it didn't have much effect. We've got to look at life in terms of stuff having a positive and a negative. It's not all positive, it's not all negative. We need to look at the dialectics of nature, the dialectics of connected reality, and use whatever tactic that we can use in order to raise consciousness. The key is consciousness here. See, when there's a mass consciousness among the masses about a course of action, nothing on earth can stop them. Nothing. It's the power of the people. When they examine power, It's not how many people you can control and manipulate. It's not how many people you can buy off and corrupt. My definition of power is the dual capacity to define phenomena. What's phenomena? Which you can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Phenomena. Power to define phenomena and then change it in a desired manner. So we just can't simply analyze. We must act and act together. So there's so much division among the people, especially in the USA. There's so much division that the other environmental issues cannot be addressed because we're hating on each other, because we're killing each other, because we're competing with each other instead of cooperating together. So we need to take a good look at where we're at, what we can do, have courage, overcome fear, and do whatever you can in your local community. That could be working with a non-profit organization, that could be working with a soup kitchen, a book club, a gun club, and just have as many groups and political parties and organizations as we can, so that people see that liberation is a key part of their whole culture. It's a key part of what they do, of who they are. So it's not just seen as some strange extremist lunatic fringe. It's seen as liberation culture is a part of your daily activity. For those who are working 8 to 5 in a factory or at the office, your potential for involvement is not the same as someone who has the free time. Someone who doesn't have to hustle just for a meal. So I'm blessed right now because my time is relatively my own. So I can spend more time on doing social media and other stuff. And at the same time, working on myself. Today I found a good spot across from Capitol Park where I can just sit and meditate on the grass and do yoga. Not on grass, on the grass. And we need to have liberation be a key part, have a liberation culture, a culture of liberation where we're thinking about liberation, we're writing about it, we're expressing about it, we're trying to see how we can liberate ourselves as much as we can now. And sexual liberation. That's another big issue. And power, gay power for gay people, black power for black people, brown power for brown people, white power for white people. All forms of power. And using our energy to express that power in our daily lives. And one of the major divisions is between the sexes, men and women, let alone the discrimination or the prejudice against gay people. You see, as one species, a primary distinction we make is between men and women. We need to evolve beyond any kind of old-fashioned battle between the sexes and let our humanity override that division. We need to evolve beyond who's black, who's white, who's polka dot. Let our humanity evolve beyond that racial distinction. It doesn't mean being colorblind. That means not letting a person's color interfere with our integration as human beings. So we may find that all along it was not just the corporate capitalist ruling class that caused our misery, the misery of poverty, but it's also how we treat each other. Better a bowl of rice and beans with water, sitting down at a table with good friends, than a big fancy steak dinner by yourself up on the hill. At least to me. So there's a lot of work to be done. I believe that we are, as a species, we are in great danger. We could be on the edge of extinction. We may never even know how close to the edge we are. Especially when you're talking about different countries with nuclear arms. The U.S. talks so much about Iran not having one, but who's the one ever using nuclear weapons? USA. We gotta love the people of Iran. Don't let a fascist government, a fascist regime, because it's not even really a functional government. Like Jimmy Carter said, it's not even a functional democracy. Don't let a fascist regime determine who you consider a friend or who you consider an enemy. You need to study for yourself. Make up your own mind. Have the wisdom to search for the truth. I truly believe that the truth will set us free. Amen. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope this is useful to somebody somewhere in the universe. Namaste.